Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insights through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Today on the show, I would like to welcome Anja Zibert, who is the founder of Free Spirit Human Capital, an HR disruptor, tribe magician, HR Inspirator, intuitive career empower, and team heart intelligent facilitator. I am thrilled to have you on the show today, Anja. So let's dive right into this and welcome.
Thank you very much, Summer. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Before we delve into your professional journey, can you describe your life in one word thus far?
Now I can say it's a playground.
Okay, why that word? Please tell us more. That's interesting. I love that word.
Yeah, because I like to play. I really like to play. I really most of my life, I was taking my life really seriously. And I had this very, I would say, general perspective on life. But then, of course, a lot of things happened and I changed that perspective. And now I really see my life as a playground. I'm experimenting. I have fun. I'm looking, for opportunities to have fun. Also in the field of recruitment, HR, business world, because I really see things differently. I really believe that things can be differently.
Oh, I love that word, playground. You have so many wonderful titles. If you were to create a tagline for yourself, what would that be?
Yeah, I really wear many hats, because I really believe that we are fluid. I really don't like labels. I don't want to put stickers or labels on my forehead, but I'm a woman in general. And if I tell you the truth, all my life, I've been a warrior. I was fighting, I was struggling, to be heard, to be seen, everywhere. But then, I was like, no, I don't want to be a warrior anymore. I'm a mom, of course, proud mom, but I see myself, you know what? I'm a queen. I'm a queen and I'm going to play by my rules. I'm going to create my rules and my heart is open. My world, my kingdom is open. Everybody can join, but I'm not going to play by rules that I don't like. So
your tagline might be, I create my own rules.
No, I would say free spirit, but in a really good way. I really would like to show people that it can be different. I don't want to preach or anything, and I don't want to convince anyone that my way is better, because there's nothing, there are different perspectives. So there's no better or good or bad or something like that. I don't believe in that. It's just, I would say now I see myself as an HR disruptor because I'm bringing this spiritual empowerment also in business world, through HR. I'm really happy because I'm meeting on daily basis. I'm meeting people who have the same mindset and it's fun.
I love what you said about having a lot of titles, but not really placing a title on yourself, because you're always flowing, right? And you're always going through these different changes and different times and different situations in your life. So Free Spirit Human Capital makes sense. So let's talk about your business, Free Spirit Human Capital, how you develop this business and the core values that the business is built upon.
Yeah, that's really an interesting story because me personally, I like social media. I think it was time of MySpace because I was using MySpace.
Right.
My nickname there in 2005 or something was Free Spirit. And it stuck with me, people, they knew me. Okay, Anja, Free Spirit. Okay, cool. And then after all the changes, there's first wave of changes in my life. So it was around 2011, something like that. I actually made I had an inspiration to make a tattoo. And I have on my back, I made a tattoo, Free Spirit, a big one, 2011. And now I have a company, Free Spirit Human Capital. So it was actually a really interesting chain of reaction.
That is so awesome. I love that story. it's interesting that you on MySpace were called Free Spirit, and how this developed into something meaningful in relation to a business for you. And that is huge when we can really take who we are, what we believe in our core, and apply that to a passion and our skill set. So tell us more about what you do with this business, Free Spirit Human Capital.
Okay. I call it like, I want to explain to somebody, I just say it's an HR agency with a twist. Because I used to be a headhunter. I used to work as a recruiter or like headhunter. So I know, like in a corporate environment, I know how it is, to connect companies and candidates. And it was okay, but I saw different perspective on it, because by that time, I think it was like 2016, 2017, I actually went through my own like spiritual awakening, if I may say that. And I saw things completely different, and I felt things completely different. And I was like, you know what? This is not the way. I mean, it can be different. This is not the way what I feel. I was super successful in it, it was really, but it was not aligned with my soul. So I was like playing around in my head with this idea, but I was like, no, this is not, I don't think it's possible what I have in my mind. But then, of course, Corona came, in 2020, and I lost my job, of course. And yeah, in 2020, I founded Free Spirit Human Capital. And now my goal is, like, my mission, my core business is to empower, on one side, companies. So basically, I'm mentoring HR professionals, and I'm mentoring them, and like, I would say, passing on the knowledge about marketing, about personal growth, about spiritual growth. And also on the other side, with job seekers or like career seekers, or people who just want to change career, or they're looking to completely like new career or new employer, or they want to step on their own path, like entrepreneurs or founders. Because when they raise their vibration, both of them, they can find each other. Otherwise, I see it. I always saw that I don't know where I heard this, but it really stuck with me, that job interview is a conversation between two liars. This is
interesting.
It actually is like that, because nobody is really completely honest when you put together, because company will always have its own agenda, and the candidate will always, but they will never exchange their user manuals, how they operate. And what I'm doing is I'm empowering them to be really authentic, like in their authentic self, and they express that way, and of course on the other side, and I've seen so many amazing matches, so it definitely works. I'm not saying it's an absolute truth for everything, but it's an option. It can be different. And this is soul aligned business. And I'm really enjoying it.
Well, I appreciate that you have your own formula to really creating this honesty, bringing that forward so people can really be authentic in telling their story.
Exactly. And based on values, values are super important, because some companies, they have values written on their walls in their companies, but they do not feel them, or like the values change, after a few years, values can change because people change, and nobody is really thinking about that. This is really, really my mission, to empower people with this knowledge that past does not define us. What defines us is who we are now and who we believe we can become tomorrow. Because a lot of companies, they're still looking for candidates for people based on their past. People, they don't exist anymore, And when I'm meeting people, it's like they are so relieved, because they have somebody to talk to, about the stuff they usually don't talk about on job interviews. So
how interesting. Well, and it is really interesting, the work that you do, because I think that a lot of companies don't have their values on their walls. They don't have their values on their walls because they're not clear of their own values. And it's like a personality in my field, in the clinical psychology field, personality, and there's different schools of thoughts about this, but my belief is the personality doesn't really change after 18 years. What we do and how we behave can change. But like core values, our core values usually stay the same. Based on our core values, our behaviors can change, right? And so as long as you're honest about those core values, or you recognize, or you're familiar. And I don't think a lot of times people are familiar with their own core values. They do what they've been conditioned to do by their parents, by their clergy, by their educators, by the jobs, because that's what we've learned. But is that what you're walking in alignment with? Are those actually your core values? So when you do that core value strategy, and I wrote a book about this, when you do that core value strategy, it makes a difference, because you then start becoming aware of your own core values and how you're actually living your life. And how are you living in alignment with that? So when that interviewee goes into interview with that company, if in fact that company has their core values on their wall, like the FBI, I'll go to the FBI and I see the core values before you enter into the FBI. You see them, they're right there. They're very clear about it. They haven't changed, right? And so any candidate that goes into that FBI, they know their core values. To me, when I go to interview, I want to know that with a job that I'm going into, because then if we're in alignment, great. If we're out of alignment, I'm probably not going to work for them, because the sustainability of me working with them is not going to be long. My longevity with them is not going to be, it's going to be very short if we're out of alignment. So
exactly.
I think it's so important. What you're talking about here is becoming familiar with your core values, knowing that strategy, right? And being able to have those true and honest conversations that tell stories about your core values and how you would be able to come together and meet each other's needs, because that's a win-win situation. So I love what you're doing with your business, Free Spirit Human Capital, because it really is that human spirit of authenticity, honesty, to really gain from both ends a winning match. So that is so important. And I love hearing about your business. So tell us about the Free Spirit Human Capital podcast. Tell us about your podcast and what you do there and who you feature.
Yeah, thanks. It's actually, it's another experiment, like I said, I like to play, and this is one of my games. So, I always believe, I'm a really huge advocate for heart energy in business world, like in general. I'm also a HeartMath Institute certified trainer for activating the heart of teams. And I'm really blown away by all the science that is, supporting this topic. And I always believed, and I really wanted to share this energy, this wisdom in business world. So I joined forces with amazing VC investor from California, Jeremy Barr. He's really one of the most inspiring people, VC investors and founder, entrepreneur, mentor, that he's on a mission to positively impact 3 billion people with the ecosystem of startups that he's creating. And he's doing absolutely amazing job. So when we just met on LinkedIn, and then we talked, and it was like, oh my God, we really clicked, our energy is really amazing. You have this HR perspective, something really special. And because I really believe in this human level, cooperation, then I can also provide some information from investor point of view. Yeah. Because he's also, huge advocate for this human level business cooperation, so on. So we created Business Heartprints podcast. So it's actually like a Zoom calls on, it was a weekly basis. Now it's more a monthly, because we are both very, very busy. But it's Business Heartprints, and it's made for empowering business professionals with heart-based scaling strategies.
Gotcha.
Because I really want to show, that emotions and empathy and this human level approach, this is the future, because people are longing for that. And, you can always choose, you can always lead people that way or another. You always have a free will, but I just want to let the world know that you can be super successful, you can earn millions, you can be a billionaire, if you're a heart-based professional. So,
and I think that is so critical these days, because the expectations from employees are so different than they were maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And the emotion wasn't part of the formula. so to speak. It was just do your job, right? Get it done. And so now we're taking into consideration that emotion-based, that empathy, that kindness, that thoughtfulness, and bringing that together in the workplace so that we can get more understanding, longevity with each other, right? Not just the business owner, but the employees as well, and enjoying what they're doing, which makes a huge difference. And I think that's a major shift going on right now. And I think one of the important aspects of that, Anja, that I see, again, as somebody who's working in the human services field for years, is people understanding their own emotions, tapping into that. Because I think that we've been taught not to recognize. We don't even recognize what's happening with our bodies many times, right? So we're not even intuitive about like, oh my gosh, something's happening with my body. We just kind of block it out. So then when it comes to emotions, I see something similar happening. Block it out. They don't know how to identify or name an emotion. And so to be able to train and help people do that, to understand their emotions, to identify their emotions, to put not a label, but a name to it. I'm feeling. Do you know, I read an article yesterday and it said one of the most important things, and this was an FBI profiler. He said one of the most important things profilers did was naming an emotion. So when he's talking to somebody else who's maybe committing a crime and they're trying to talk them down from doing A, B, or C, it's identifying you might be feeling such and such way. I love what you're talking about because it is so critical these days to really tap into those emotions and understand where people are coming from.
Yeah. And also, if I may give you an extra perspective on emotions, because we all know, and now it's like scientifically proven, that with our mind, we create our reality with our thoughts. Yeah. And the thing is that emotions are such a huge part of this creation process. So people should really, really switch this perspective on this. So emotions are so important because they are crucial part of creation process. Because first is thought, but thought without emotion and without action is only a thought. Yeah. It has to be like this burning desire behind the thought so it gets realized. But it's like, when people get empowered with this information, they get a different view on the world and it gets so much easier. And this is also my mission, to empower founders so they can empower their teams so that the productivity, can get higher and, results, and they can scale, but they are still like connected on human level. And this is, it's a playground.
It is a playground, and it is such a fun playground when you understand it and when you can tap into those emotions and you can share those emotions. It is so rewarding on so many different levels. So I absolutely love what you're doing. And we've talked about quite a bit. We've talked about Free Spirit Human Capital, your business. We've talked about your podcast. We've talked about so many things today. So as we come to the close of the interview, my last question is for you, Anja. If you were to leave the listeners with one piece of advice to support their journey, what would it be?
Yeah, I actually have two. I can repeat the first one. So the past does not define us. What defines us is who we believe that we are now and who we believe that we become, tomorrow, like in the future. And the second one is, if you want to predict the future, just create it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Those are two great pieces of wisdom that we can take and apply to our everyday life. So thank you, Anja, for joining me on the Core podcast today.
Thank you very much, Summer. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, and all the best in the future. Keep on shining.
Thank you so much. You too. You can follow Anja Zibert on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube, as well as freespirithc.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women Podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.